time for a Manta Rant. This one is about UnityScript and how it's over, and has been for quite some time. You may be wondering what UnityScript is, and it is Unity's version of JavaScript. And that is one of the many aspects we'll point out about it as we discuss just how over it is. Seriously, why would anyone be using it? You would think that the number of people using it would be 0 at this point, but it is more than 0. Here is a picture of someone on the forums who asked for help for it in 2021. It's been deprecated for 4 years and completely unsupported for 3 years, and this guy is still using it. One of the reasons you might be using it is because you're following a tutorial, like this guy. And the tutorial might tell you to use JavaScript. And I'm here to tell you that any tutorial that uses JavaScript is over. It's done, it's dead. The tutorial is years old, and is going to teach you all sorts of wrong things about the way Unity works now. If you insist on using an old version of Unity so that you can keep on using JavaScript, you're keeping yourself from at least 4 years of bug fixes and new features so that you can use a language that was never good in the first place. UnityScript has more words and more junk in it than C# does. You can see here, if you're declaring a variable, both of them support this syntax, but if it's a variable with a specific type, in JavaScript, it looks like this, and that is just stupid. C# is much cleaner. If you're declaring a function, look at all that extra crap you need to put in there. That is ridiculous. One thing that was counted a feature in the olden days was duct typing, where UnityScript could use the members of a variable of an unknown type, which is why this code worked. And way back then, on the older C# compiler, we didn't have generics, which looked like this. So the C# equivalent back in the day looked more like this. So that's why people back then liked duct typing. But really, duct typing is bad. It's inefficient. It's not supported on mobile platforms at all because it's insecure. If you have mistakes, you get runtime errors, not compile errors. And you don't even need it because generics do the job so much better. But then generics in JavaScript have this silly syntax. Generics do the job so much better that the string version of getComponent doesn't even exist anymore, which your stupid old JavaScript tutorial probably doesn't even know about. Another feature that JavaScript has is inferred types, and this feature was thought to be good for newbies because you don't have to worry about what type a variable was. But it turns out this is also bad because it creates unclear code. For example, if you try to write this code in C#, it won't compile because it knows from the first line that x is an integer. And when you try to put 2.5 in there, which it knows is a float, it's the wrong type and it will not compile. You have to give x a specific type that will be compatible with giving it a 2.5. But put that code into JavaScript and it's going to do something so much worse. It won't give you a compiler error, but what it will do is it will tell you that 2.5 times 2 equals 4. And that's because it has truncated the 2.5 to fit into this int type variable of x, which it automatically determined. And in doing so, the 2.5 has become 2, and it's done all this without a compiler error, so you don't know anything is wrong until your number comes up wrong. Errors are there to help you fix problems before they're problems. And JavaScript is full of problems where it doesn't give you a compiler error, it just lets you shoot yourself in the foot at runtime. One of the most frustrating things about JavaScript is it's not even JavaScript. This is a flat-out lie. It never was JavaScript. It was just called JavaScript by Unity's marketing department back in the day to trick web developers into thinking that you can use a language that they already know. If you find example code in JavaScript online, then you cannot use it in Unity. It just won't work. The reason they didn't just put actual JavaScript in there is because JavaScript is interpreted, and they knew that with 2005 technology, it could never be efficient enough to run real game code while being interpreted. So instead, they slapped a skin on another language called Boo and just lied about what the language was. And the fact that JavaScript is a marketing department lie and not a real language means that it has never had good support in tools or in the community. Quite frankly, the C# community has always been more useful. Even when JavaScript was actually popular, the more experienced coders were the ones who would use the real language, which is to say C#. Real coders who had experience with real JavaScript couldn't use that because UnityScript was not JavaScript. Tools like Visual Studio have a lot more features for real languages than you as a JavaScript programmer might even know are possible. For example, live code refactoring or finding references. Visual Studio actually understands code because real languages get real tools. And all of these things were true back in 2016 before Unity just removed JavaScript support. That is the most important tool to support UnityScript, is Unity. UnityScript doesn't exist anywhere now. Why does a single human being use JavaScript in 2021?